Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's August 9th, 2016, and there's more propaganda in the headlines regarding France and ISIS. Here's the fresh headline today: France is super jihadi and the teenage girl trapped in Syria. What we're going to do is we're going to read this article and we're going to decode it, exposing the propaganda coded through the language of gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. Today's news, it comes on the date August 9th, 2016, a date with 33 numerology, 33, the number of Freemason obsession, France, home of the plus 33 international dialing code, the place that made Scottish Rite Freemasonry the international power that it is. Today's date also has 53 numerology, the word religion, the small way is 53, the big way 89. The ISIS propaganda is very much about the ongoing propaganda that's been going heavily in the media worldwide since September 11th, mostly based on Christianity versus Islam. Today's date, August 9th, is also written 9/8. The word prophet has gematria of 98. In the Quran, it's the Prophet Muhammad. A lot of times in ISIS propaganda, they'll code it around these numbers. But I'll show you what's more significant. CNN, sitting in front of his high-end computer, staring intently at the screen, chunky headphones on and mouse busy clicking away, Omar Omsen looks like a regular office worker. Only the camouflage t-shirt and the tent walls blowing around him offer a hint that this is no ordinary workplace, but the epicenter of jihadi recruitment in Syria. The clip he's working on is not a pop video or newsreel, but a piece of radical Islamist propaganda in praise of the Charlie Hebdo attackers. Charlie Hebdo was a propaganda shooting, very fake, exposed by many, who killed 12 people in Paris in January 2015. Omsen, aka Omar Diaby, is France's super jihadist. So right away, within the name given, Omar Omsen, notice how when they create these names, they like to make the first and last name have the same initial. There's people in the world that have names that way, but when they contrive these characters in the media, they like to do that a lot. Omar Omsen in gematria sums to 113, just like the word mainstream equals 113, just like dishonest equals 113, just like Bava Kama 113a says it's okay for somebody who's Jewish to lie to somebody who isn't Jewish, and the media is run by the Zionist Jews. The Zionist Jews hate the Muslims more than any other religion in the world, and through the media that they control worldwide, they are programming people to have this same hatred based on lies for Islam. The real terrorists in this world are the people who control media, who control government. They are the Zionist banker tyrant Jews. The small way, Omar Omsen, sums to 41. The 13th prime number, jihadi, has gematria 41. And as we get to, we'll read the article down here. They say he's 41 years old. Omar Omsen, 41, the 13th prime. The Bavarian Illuminati started May 1st, 1776, just before the American Revolution, credited in the history books with the French Revolution, which began right after the American Revolution. USA equals 41, 13 stripes on the flag, 13 colonies, 41 the 13th prime, 13 families that started the Bavarian Illuminati just before the American Revolution. Think about it, people. Red, white, and blue flags in both nations. The other name that they give for him, Omar Diaby, his alias has gematria of 88, like the words poison and program. Allahu Akbar, which they love to use in the media. They say, oh, the terrorists called out Allahu Akbar. They did that during the Charlie Hebdo. Allahu Akbar equals 88. 43 is a number connected to civil war. And right now, in all parts of the world, the mainstream media, run by this gang of Masons and Zionists, they're promoting division through race, religion. What a civil war is, a division. The name Omar in gematria sums to 20 and 47 alone. France is 47. Diaby alone is 23 and 41. Again, like jihadi, like his age. See how they like to code these numbers? That's why the alias with Diaby. You learn gematria every single time you apply it to these mainstream articles, which are always propaganda by the numbers. You're going to make the same discoveries I'm making. Same things I've been reporting on since 2013 when I finally figured out how this whole rigged media show really worked. It's always been obvious to me that the media is a joke and only reports propaganda and bogus bullshit. To me, you have to be completely blind to not see that. And I realize most people don't see it, which to me just baffles me, you know? I think, how can people not see through this bullshit media? Think about what ISIS was. This boogeyman that emerged out of nowhere at the end of 2013, which is what activated me to step up this research. But at the end of 2013, just after Obama and John Kerry beat the war drum for war with Syria, and then they backed off, then right away they said all this ISIS propaganda coming out of Syria. It's all a joke. So this is supposed to be him, the 41-year-old super jihadist. Let's continue to read. Through his series of online videos released under the name 19HH, HH is 88, there's that again. 19 is the number that they often code into this propaganda because 19 is so significant in the Quran. Over the last 2 years, if you go back and look at the headlines about the teenagers being recruited by ISIS, see how often they say the teens are 19. It happens again and again and again. We'll talk about 19 in the Quran. There were 19 hijackers on September 11th, all fictitious characters. French authorities say he is responsible for recruiting about 80% of French-speaking jihadis heading to Syria and Iraq. The clips fuse Hollywood special effects. That's because Hollywood is run by the Zionist Jews who also run the news and who create all this propaganda. The movies, they're coded the same way the news is, something I show time and time again. Rap music, religion, and conspiracy theories in an attempt to convince young French Muslims to join the fight. Omsen, 41, was born in Senegal but moved to France as a child. Senegal, once a French territory, and grew up in Nice. Remember, Nice just had the propaganda attack by the numbers on Bastille Day. They reported 84 dead. It came exactly 84 days after the movie Bastille Day released, which was about a CIA anti-terrorism activity on Bastille Day. Dummies in Gematria sums to 84. They had dummies littering the streets of France. A couple weeks later, they tried to say an 84-year-old priest got beheaded. Remember, Jesuit equals 84, so does Sunday. The Catholic Church, the Jesuit order, moved the day of worship to Sunday, trying to clue people into what they're really worshiping in Christianity, Sunday. They said the attacker was 31 years old in Nice. Nice equals 31. If you haven't seen my video on Bastille Day, check it out. Lots of important information there. The French president, his name in Gematria sums to 84. United States of America equals 84. France, United States of America are Masonic allies, working for the same banker tyrants. So, Omsen, 41, again was born in Senegal, moved to France as a child, and grew up in Nice. According to French media reports, he became radicalized during several spells in prison. He moved to Syria in 2013, the same year that the ISIS propaganda began, to head up a French katiba, or brigade of jihadis. Among his followers who listen rapt as he preaches with messianic fervor, Omsen is treated as a spiritual leader. Senegal has that gematria of 63. If you add every single number up to 63, 1 plus 2 plus 3, all the way up to 63, it sums to 2016, like the year we're in. We saw Muhammad Ali die by the numbers on June 3rd. The Prophet Muhammad died at age 63. That word katiba that they bring up, it has gematria 44 and 17, just like kill. Prophet also has gematria 44. Spiritual has gematria 44. They talk about him being a spiritual leader. With regards to recruiting the teens, teen has that same gematria. Whole lot of headlines in the last 2 years about ISIS recruiting teens. Continuing on, all the guys were looking at him like he was a god, like it was a sect, says Fuad El-Bathi, who has seen Omsen in action up close in Syria. I want to point out that today also has 26 numerology. The word God in gematria sums to 26. 26 letters in the English alphabet. The Greek alphabet once had 26 letters. In the Hebrew alphabet, which is based on gematria, the word God also sums to 26. So here we get this story about this man that's like a god, the jihadi, Superman. story by the numbers, on a date with 26 numerology as well. He made me think of a guru. They were venerating him. El-Bathi was in Syria to try and rescue his baby sister, Nora, who ran away to Syria when she was just 15 years old, one of the thousands who have made the journey. That name, given in the story, Fuad El-Bathi, gematria of 120, just like super jihadi. This is the story about the super jihadi, also like Illuminati. Remember, Bavarian Illuminati, France, the United States of America. Teenage girl, that phrase, which we've seen a ton with ISIS, also has the same coding as Freemasonry. And again, it is the Freemasons, the Zionist banker tyrants, controlling media, doing this to us by the numbers. Now, we talked about how his name summed to 113, like mainstream, like dishonest, like Baba Kamal 113. They talked about how he was connected to Charlie Hebdo. Here's what I want to remind you about Charlie Hebdo. The Bataclan shooting back in the day, 1307, on Friday the 13th, the Knights Templar were burned at the stake, the Freemasons of their time in France. Then we get this shooting hoax on Friday the 13th, blamed on ISIS. At the Bataclan, look at what date the Bataclan was dedicated. November 3rd. In the U.S., we write that 11/3. Or over there, 3/11. From the date of the Charlie Hebdo attack hoax, which was January 7th, to the date of the Bataclan shooting was 311 days. And look at that date, November 13th, you guys. 1113. 44 weeks later, the kill number, kill 44, shooting 44. After the shooting hoax of November 13th, this image became viral by Jean Julien, gematria of 113. They blamed this guy. They said, be on the lookout for him. They gave us his birth numerology, September 15th, 1989, a date with 113 numerology. It's always the same thing again and again by the numbers. Here's Baba Kamal 113a. Jews may use lies to circumvent a Gentile, which is a non-Jew. Mainstream, dishonest, green screen, all things used to deceive us in the media. I documented this in a story. They had a big update on that guy with the 113 gematria on March 5th. They thought they'd almost caught him 113 days later. Here's about the origins of Scottish Rite Freemasonry in France. Scottish in gematria sums to 113. Decapitated victim identified by French authorities. Oh, I just remember in this reporting, they had to put the number 113 just in the needless details. A memorial for Conora 54 was held Saturday in his hometown. This is a guy who was supposedly beheaded by a radical jihadist, Islamist. Islam in gematria sums to 54. See how they do that? Say he's 54 years old, killed by radical Islam, with the 113 there. It's all a mocking truth seeker. Let me tell you about 19 real quick. Remember his code name was 19HH? In the Quran, there's something called the miracle code of 19. Let me just read this to you. Another mathematical miracle of the Quran is the manner in which the number 19 is numerologically encoded in verses. This number is stressed in the words of the Quran. There are 19 in charge of it. Quran 74:30, and is encoded in various places in the book. Some examples of this can be listed as follows. So here's some places in the Quran where there's these 19 tributes. The Quran is 114 chapters, and 114 is divisible by 19. Let me just explain this to you by showing it to you visually. In gematria, S is the 19th letter, but there's a common format where you multiply each letter times 6. Whoops, I don't want Sagittarius, I just want S. S is the 19th letter, but in English gematria, S is also 114. The Quran is 114 books. The first surah to be revealed, Surah 96, is the 19th from the end. The first verses of the Quran to be revealed are the first verses of Surah 96, and the total number of words in these verses is 19. Now, what those numbers make me think of is the ritual sacrifice of Muhammad Ali by the numbers earlier this year. In 2014, I predicted he would die at age 74, which he did this year, because Muhammad equals 74. Muhammad Ali in simple English gematria sums to 96, just like Freemason, just like a boxing ring is 96 feet around. And look at what the verses are that are mentioned here for this code of significance. 74, 96. This is why I am so convinced that the Freemasons over time are responsible for all these creations. The religious texts, the language, the calendar, the rituals such as the Olympics, so much. Muhammad Ali is remembered for opening the 96 Olympics. This year he died on June 3rd, 63 days before the start of the Summer Games in Rio. Muhammad Ali, the small way sums to 42. Rio, the big way, sums to 42. Again, 63, you add it up, 1 through 63, it sums to 2016, like the year of these Olympics. Muhammad Ali, a fitting ritual sacrifice for a major international spectacle. Muhammad Ali, a celebrity worldwide. For Muhammad Ali's funeral, it was a 19-mile funeral procession. Covered that, did a video on why 19 miles, explaining these same things. Go back and check out that video. A few other interesting things I clue people into. That word processional has gematria of 74, like Muhammad dropping dead at age 74. Since they called this guy a super jihadi, I want to also educate about that word and how over the years, radical Islam has been blamed for attacks that have been carried out by the West Zone governments, the Zionists running them. On October 23rd, there was the Beirut barracks bombing blamed on jihad. Notice this was on the 33rd parallel. Again, today's story comes on a date with 33 numerology. This attack happened October 23rd, 1023, 10 plus 23, 33. October, the only month with 33 gematria. And it happened at the time of 622. 622. I'll show you why 622 is so interesting. It's because jihad in Jewish gematria sums to 622. Recent article this year, ISIS leader rally followers as group faces setbacks. Posted at 622. They do this stuff a lot. Jihad in simple English gematria also sums to 32, like America. If you've never read the book, The Final Jihad, it was written by the brother of the governor of Oklahoma during the time of the Oklahoma City bombing. It predicts in detail the bombing of the Oklahoma City Federal Building, the downing of the flight out of New York City, I can't think what flight number that is right now, and the attack on the World Trade Centers on September 11th. All written in a book by a brother of a governor of Oklahoma. In the book, the Oklahoma City building is bombed by a truck packed with explosives, just like it was reported in real life. The main character in that book has the last name McVeigh with a different spelling. The powers that be are mocking us. They have scripted their agenda, and we live it out each day with contrived headlines, such as this, such as the super jihadist. The other thing I want to point out about 622 and also the reflection of it, 226, reshuffling of the same words, they have gematria of 93. Propaganda equals 93. Think about the 93 World Trade Center bombing on 2/26, February 26th. Beirut barracks bombing equals 93. Propaganda equals 93. The World Trade Centers, not bombed in 93 on 2/26, the day of September 11th. The first flight, Flight 11, which hit the big buildings that look like giant 11s, New York's the 11th state, hit floors 93 through 99. Then the next plane hit at 9:03 a.m. Then there was Flight 93 of 33 passengers in Pennsylvania. Now the new building that stands there, One World Trade Center, sums to 93. Just like Beirut barracks bombing, just like propaganda. Saturn also sums to 93, the keeper of time and to the occult. This is what jihad really is. Zionist propaganda, creating a boogeyman that's no threat to anybody. We got to take these Zionists out of power. They're the real terrorists. The original definition of terrorism is government by intimidation, and that's how these people govern. The central bankers, the deceivers in high places. Until next time, truth seekers.